I guess we can start with today's Orchestration meeting.
That's good.
So, might be able to join us later. So in 10 to 15 minutes, we might get more information if you can join us today. Yeah, in any case, welcome to today's Orchestration meeting. As always, if you have things to discuss, please put it in the Orchestration meeting, Orchestration weekly Etherpad. And then I guess we can start. So, I've just hacked together a new pull request for having a possibility to have previews of a drive group within the dashboard and the orchestrators and everyone else, basically, in pull request 31021. So this one is going to be required for Kiefer's dashboard effort. Yeah, that has some unmet dependencies, like for example, having an inventory in Python Common, having the volume inventory from Rook, also missing for that one. Yeah, but yeah, feel free to just comment on it if you want to. The next topic on that list is creating OCs in Rook. So what do we need from Ceph volume?
Are you talking about the inventory?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that same question too. And I put a link to that, the PR that's in progress for collecting Ceph volume inventory, and it looks like Juan Miguel is not here today. Maybe he's still traveling. I'm not sure. Holiday something. Anyway, yeah, and there's a question in that PR about what Ceph volume inventory attributes we really need to collect. I think it's a question of what will the dashboard need. Should we just dump all of the properties, or should we just look at a few that Rook thinks it needs? Properties do we need? That's not clear yet.
Can Rook just dump everything without looking into the details?
Right, I think it could, and that was the question I raised on the PR as well. And I think Juan Miguel's response was just, should we decouple it from that JSON output? I don't know that there's a need to, as long as we're compatible between versions or not. I don't know. Is there a reason not to tie it to that? I don't know of one. I think that was his only concern.
Yeah, so my pull request to add the drive selection really makes use of the Ceph volume inventory. And everything that's used by that pull request is definitely going to be required from Rook. Otherwise, we will never be able to properly have previews for or have proper support for creating OSDs in the dashboard for Rook. And that would be a shame, I think.
Yeah. So in your PR, do you assume that you've got all of the Ceph volume output as if it came from the Ceph volume inventory run?
Yes, I just assume it.
Okay. So we should probably just take the Ceph volume inventory output and store it without processing.
Yeah, I guess that would be great.
Okay. Yeah, we just need to respond to Juan Miguel's pull request then and make sure that's clear.
Hmm.
You and Jan were commenting on that PR. Do you want to, one of you want to respond to that again? It was PR 4053.
Yeah. Um, so I already had that idea that we should just maybe just pass it on without really looking into the volume output.
Okay, maybe then if it's already there, then great. Next time I reach out with Juan Miguel, then we can clarify that.
Hmm. Makes sense.
Okay.
Um, yeah, while we're on Rook, Travis, you want to give some overview about what's going on with Rook? For example, do you have any upcoming releases or stuff like that?
Oh, sure. So the next upcoming release, 1.1.3, is tentatively maybe by tomorrow. I think there's a couple of issues I haven't caught up with over the weekend that make sure we get fixes in. There's an OSD configuration issue where the config overrides weren't being picked up. Or I'm not sure that we have um, exact repro steps for that yet. Or Sebastian, on any update on that today?
I checked again with the person that, well, one of the person that reported that issue, and he seems to be confused, but by what should be there or not. So I asked him to check again because he kept telling me that the IPs were still generated as part of the conf, and I told him, yeah, but even if the conf is being generated, we don't care about that config because we don't use it anymore. So please check that Ceph is being used instead, and I guess that's it. So he apparently is having issues recreating his cluster. So I'm basically waiting for him for more inputs, I guess.
Yeah, so it might just be some confusion around how we're generating it but not using it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So I think once we resolved that, there's an OSD upgrade issue. I'm not sure if it would make it in time for the release if it's tomorrow, but Dantosh, he's not in this call. He's working on that upgrade issue. So basically with upgrade, if OSDs are on PVs, we're skipping reconciling of the OSD pods, and we need to make sure we're always reconciling them to an upgrade. So that one is getting close. Which one is that? That is PR 3996. Yes. What else? Yeah, there are a number of fixes though going in patch release. What else? There's DSI driver updates, subs working on, not really related to Orchestration. There's one thing that may be relevant here is that when Rook is configuring manager modules, it takes a while, 30 or 40 seconds. So I have a PR that will do some of that in parallel, that configuration in parallel asynchronously. So we up the orchestration a bit. Got it down to 10 or 15 seconds at least by doing some things. A small thing, but actually seem to get questions regularly about why things aren't getting figured, and we just didn't wait long enough for these things to complete.
Yeah, I think the manager restarts itself every time a module gets enabled or disabled.
Right. So, and I need to double check while I'm in there actually if we're enabling or restarting the module when it shouldn't, or if there are no changes, because we only expect to restart it if there were changes to the modules. Instead of during every time we run the org. What else? I think KubeCon coming up, starting to plan get into the Rook presentations. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not sure. Deb or anyone else, other ideas on or thoughts on latest Rook happenings?
Yeah, nothing really related to orchestration, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. So next topic is about locking the dashboard for preventing user scheduling requests that doesn't make sense, but there is no news on that topic, so I would just leave it out today. Just a reminder that this is also still going on. So, Ceph Daemon.
I think Lance was about to say something, but he's muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just noticed there are 2 places where you can unmute yourself. I'm just wondering if you need any support for that last PR you mentioned about avoiding that the dashboard tramples on ongoing operations.
Yeah, that's more something completely within the orchestrator, because the orchestrator is the only component who really knows what's going on right now. So there is nothing in the dashboard where the dashboard can fix something right now. But yeah, if you want to help me, then please, that would be great.
Yeah, how? Reviews?
Reviewing 30.26.2.
Okay.
That would be great.
Needs rebase, by the way.
Yes. That was before Sage merged the SSH orchestrator, now using the Ceph daemon tool. Okay, I guess now it's time for the Ceph daemon topic. So who's going to use it? The SSH orchestrator, definitely. Tautology, probably. And DeepC. Jan, you want to present what you want to do with Ceph daemon? Or give some overview? Joshua?
Oh, me. I thought you were saying Jan.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Joshua. Sorry about that.
So yeah, basically we have a pretty nice tool in our hands now. But so it definitely goes the right direction in terms of abstraction and putting code in the right place to make things easier, not only for Deep C, but also for the SSH orchestrator, and possibly also for Ceph Ansible, and for all projects to come. The thing is that it probably needs to get in shape, and also we need to have a conversation about what the scope of this tool actually is. So just to give an example, currently this tool is not doing keyring generation. It does keyring creation, but it does it somehow internally. And for example, if you want to create a monitor, you would have to create a keyring on an authenticated machine with an admin keyring, and want to deploy a monitor on a different machine, you would have to copy that key over. So it's basically a two-step process, and which in the first process requires, running Ceph cluster, and the other one you can just use Ceph daemon with it. So why don't we just add keyring creation capabilities to Ceph daemon so that it would just be under one hood? Also the same thing with basically simple daemon validation and controls if the daemon is running, and all the kind of things that come to my mind when you think daemons, right? So personally, I would argue that all of those things should eventually end up in Ceph daemon. I mean, it's still to be answered if that tool will be called Ceph daemon, right? Because there are a lot of different approaches and a lot of different ideas of what the scope of this tool is, and therefore also the naming would change. So yeah, but in my opinion, it should be a bigger tool that does all the things that are somehow related to daemons, including keyring creation and including somehow validation and doing basic health checks of those.
And I believe code structure-wise, there is already some effort somewhere to split this up a little bit, right?
Right. So this is the next topic. I think Sage's intention was that this should be one file to have it easily copied over to a different machine. I think for the main purpose of this was that Remoto uses that, but there are several ways around this. Therefore, we can actually have a modularized structure within that project. And I did a bit of refactoring. It's nothing too fancy. I just split it up into different files and, did some value passing, which is more natural to Python than what this pull request shows, or this piece of code shows, because not a pull request anymore because it's merged now. I can post that if you want to, but it's just sitting in my own repository, not even in the Ceph source, so I don't know what it's worth. Right.
So I'm in general, it having that tool a bit modularized really makes sense to me, and I wouldn't oppose to having a proper packaging, having a proper package for that one. We just need to have
testability and stuff.
Yeah, we just need to have a solution so that it's easily consumable by the SSH orchestrator.
Right. And I think if we take the route of having a main function that Remoto then can use to transfer the code over and execute it on a remote machine, I think that's not a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there is interest in reworking it a bit, and of course without breaking any existing functionality of the SSH orchestrator. Right, it's just if anybody has any wrong opinions of what this thing should do. I would like to have a discussion about that.
So I have the impression that you're the one with the most opinion on that tool already.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I did some. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Maybe it would be interesting to hear if there's other stakeholders who plan on using Ceph Daemon for anything, or if, I mean, what's the current feeling on that?
So on October 14th, there was a question about who is going to work on it besides Stage. And I don't see an answer for that one. So yeah, go on. Just some general tips. Yeah, right. Smaller PRs are easier to get in than bigger PRs, obviously. And if you want to enhance the feature set of the tool, then gather feedback early.
And is there a design doc or a place where people can give feedback, and where, yeah, what's the feedback process right now? Or if there's a doc
We
for
don't
it.
have any
No, but yeah.
feedback process.
I mean, there is not even the design document or something. It's just currently I'm more or less in the process of gathering information on what the intended outcome of this tool is, and if it will actually be used by someone, if some people also have a strong interest in it and maybe already have something in mind in terms of scope. Yeah, I'm basically currently just gathering or trying to gather information. But if nobody objects, I would just rework it a bit and, of course, then create a design document that will be publicly available, and so that we can gather feedback a bit more asynchronously as meeting.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the target for it sounds like it'd be like SSH Orchestrator or Deep C, but
Right.
probably not Rook.
Well,
Yeah.
if somebody will tell me if Rook has a chance to consume it somehow or to use it somehow, and even it would require us to have some kind of different output by the form of JSON or whatever, it's certainly doable.
Right. Yes, if we had a design doc, I think where I'd
Well,
like to review
that's
it.
supposed
See if
to
it's-
hook or create Podman-based containers on a system configured with systemd. So that's basically Rook, but without Kubernetes. And on one system, basically. That's the main idea of Ceph Daemon. Right now, yeah, Kai?
Can I ask a question real quick? And maybe this is just a stupid question, and let me know because I'm not technical enough. But from what I understood so far, one of the reasons I joined today is obviously the Ceph Daemon discussion. But from what I heard is, apart from Sage, no one is kind of willing of maintaining this whole stuff. Sage kind of came up with it and merged it just because he's Sage. Just like, yeah, well, looks good, let's merge it. And now we all try to figure out, hey, this must be useful. Let's use it. This sounds a little weird to me. Is it at all? Is there maybe you know what I'm trying to get to? Yeah, I don't know. That's the question, because we all ask. No one is really answering this question. It's like, yeah, Sage came up with it. We don't know, and now we try to figure out what he meant.
No, I mean, of course it's useful. It's a tool that knows the intricacies of how to start a Ceph daemon. I mean, that's complex enough that we apparently need such a tool, right? And we have code for that in Deep C, also Podman related code, and then we got the Ceph daemon PR, which essentially does the same or at least a very similar thing. So the idea is to reduce code duplication and use the same code for this, right?
Yeah, and Ceph daemon was created in order to make it consumable by everyone else, not just the SSH orchestrator. It's just the SSH orchestrator is right now the main use case for it because Sage has made it especially for the SSH orchestrator. But the idea behind Ceph daemon was to make it generally consumable for everyone else who is interested in that whole topic. So yeah, we are definitely in scope for that tool right now.
Okay, then thanks for the clarification. Seems like we kind of have a plan, because initially my feeling was we're trying to find out what he meant, and no one was really clear about it.
I think the basic intentions are quite clear, but it's more about what should this tool do else, and what should it not do. And
so we came up with a tool like Ceph daemon in order to make it consumable by Deep C. And now we really want to make to consume it by Deep C. And now we need to expand it.
And I don't hear any objections on that, right?
Does that mean that you're going to eliminate all the work you did to configure Ceph daemons and replace all of that with the Ceph daemon?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's also part of the reason we advocate for a name change, because it's not actually a daemon, right? the name is a little off course, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, the obvious benefits of this would be, to have a canonical way of how a Ceph daemon is deployed. And, that's, how do we get key rings? Where are the various data directories stored and whatnot? I mean, I don't know. I think it makes sense to have, some tool or some resource that has like the way to do it, instead of every orchestration tool cooking their own little thing.
Yeah.
One of the big problems that I see here is that by having this set of helpers and modules inside the Ceph tree, and by using that as a requirement to work with Ceph, it means that any bug or issue is going to mean that you're probably going to have to wait months and months until a release. And that's problematic because it's inside the tree. I think that having some sort of common library that others can use, that's pretty good. But a common library that is inside the tree and depends on the release of Ceph is going to be tricky.
So from a release point of view, Ceph daemon is very similar to Ceph volume and really shares the same problems.
Yep, I agree. I don't think Ceph volume should have been in the tree ever, and I tried not to, but got a lot of pushback. So in situations like, for example, Ceph Ansible and even Ceph deploy, you're trying to support different Ceph versions. So whenever a Ceph, like even if there's a fix for a problem that is found, you still have to work around this problem because there are users out there that are still having this buggy version of Ceph that did something incorrectly. They have to work around. If if the strategy here is tying directly into Ceph daemon, I would first try to think through what's the way of working around problems when they come up.
Yep,
So I
that is a
mean,
good point.
technically speaking, this has absolutely no dependency on Ceph itself. I mean, no library hard dependency.
Right, but it could still have bugs. You could still have issues. Hey,
Sure,
you're
yeah,
reading
no,
a
I mean,
file and you did
Yeah.
it with the wrong permissions, and now this, like, say Octopus is out and it creates this keyring file with the wrong permissions. And now you have to support this version of Ceph for, so now you have to have a strategy in place to make sure that when bugs arise from Ceph daemon, that you can work around them. And now you're gonna have to check what version of Ceph is like it. Something needs to be well thought through about possible issues that are gonna come up, because they're gonna have to be supported for a while. This wouldn't be the case if this Ceph daemon set of modules and helpers would be outside of the tree, because then that would mean you could depend on whatever version. This is just food for thought.
I think that's
what I was saying. Yeah.
No, I
Simply,
completely agree.
yeah. Since I was saying we don't have a hard dependency on Ceph itself, so it would not be that hard to move it outside the tree, right?
Yeah, on the other hand, having it inside the tree makes it more straightforward to concentrate on only one Ceph version, and we have to support only one Ceph version in
but
the
see,
current Ceph volume version.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that, because that's kind of like the one of the reasons that we got for Ceph volume and putting Ceph volume inside the Ceph tree. It's like, well, you're not gonna have to manage any Ceph versions, but except we do, because we're backporting everything back to Luminous, and things in Luminous are not exactly the same in Nautilus. So now you have to do inside of Ceph volume, which is inside the Ceph tree. You have to say, am I Luminous or am I Nautilus? Oh, Luminous does it this way, Nautilus does this other way. And it's not that complicated, and it's really annoying. But then again, this is my experience, and in general, I think Ceph core engineers are really reluctant to have anything outside of the tree, and they really, really, really want everything inside the tree. And once it's inside the tree, it's really hard to take it out.
We have tools like Ceph iSCSI, which is outside of the tree.
Well, and orchestration is a good example of
Just
something.
to comment on that.
Oh, go ahead.
What's your comment, Lens?
Ceph iSCSI in particular is a royal pain, because it's out of the Ceph tree, and we need to synchronize the release management of that external component, because it depends on it. And now we have version checks, things we wouldn't have to do if it would be on the same release track. So I for one, I'm a big fan of keeping all components that are related, and depending on Ceph or support, it should be in the same Git tree. It makes things so much easier when testing and integrating.
But that's exactly the point, and the question we have to ask: in what way does that hypothetical tool that doesn't exist yet, right? In what way does that depend on Ceph itself? And as Alfredo already mentioned, for Ceph volume, that interface is actually quite small, like something that doesn't really merit an in-tree source tree for such a tool. For Ceph daemon, I don't know. I expect that the interface, like the actual dependency on Ceph, will be fairly slim as well. So I think we should certainly consider having this as its own source tree repo.
as an example of, I mean, orchestration is a place where orchestrator needs to be an independent, or might be an independent version from the thing it's deploying. So in the case of Rook has its own tree, and it can deploy different versions of Ceph because it's decoupled. And that's been the way we've been able to really make this happen. If we were in tree, it would just be next to impossible to deploy different versions of Ceph or support different versions of Ceph. Being able to have an independent deployment timeline even has been a good thing. Orchestrator, if people have blocking issues, you need to get fixes out quick, whatever.
I think that is pretty important, like finding issues and being able to like get them out as soon as possible. I think that's great. And being a new tool or new set of modules, that is definitely what's going to happen. This is going to go out, and we're going to need more features and more fixes and faster, especially because it's new. Fixes and changes are going to come out so quick that we're going to want to have those fixes right away, and we're not going to be able to because we're going to have to wait. Now, if it starts as an outside thing, and then eventually moves into this Ceph source tree when it's like super stable and things are not moving as fast anymore, that could be one path. But the other way around is just so tricky. Even right now, when I think Sage has sort of like agreed, like, oh well, okay, Ceph volume might be like a good thing to take it out. It's just very, very hard. It takes a lot of work. It's very painful.
Yeah, I would also have nothing against having it outside of the tree, at least for now. Yeah, I mean, eventually, if it's really stable, as Alfredo said, we can move it in, so no concerns there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do we have arguments for both sides? Let's wait if Sage has a final decision on that topic. I would guess.
So
I would say.
Yeah.
But
So, I
that's
mean,
the
but
only. Yeah. Yes, go on.
in general, as far as I understood, nobody really has strong opinions or currently has the plan to work on it. So I/we would be more or less free in terms of directions. Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which makes things easier, right?
Right. With, of course, design documents and obviously gathering feedback from various parties. But okay, cool. Sounds good. And for now, we can start as okay. Well, I don't know where to start, but maybe where to put the code. Then we can wait for Sage and his opinions, and then hash it out later, probably. But I mean, currently this is more or less just rewriting the existing things, and then later on we can decide where to put it.
Yeah, where to put it seems like it is a thing we have to discuss with Sage and maybe with Ceph Dev mailing list. But the other things really doesn't seem to be that opinionated.
Cool. Right, then I or somebody else will rather soonish publish a design document and start with reworking that thing. And yeah, publish it somewhere in this realm here. Right.
Great. Anything else on that topic? Doesn't seem to be the case. Just a quick note, this meeting here is scheduled in the US daylight saving time. So it will be moved an hour for the European attendees.
When does the European
I'm
daylight
sure our calendars will
change?
take care of that.
Mine doesn't, so I have to care about it manually.
That was a joke.
And if you copy that in Google Documents, then it doesn't copy the original time zone where it was scheduled, but it copies or it uses your own time zone. So if you copy that calendar entry in Google Calendar, then you end up with a entry that's off by an hour. So just be aware of it.
And next weekend you change in Europe?
Yeah, next Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks in the US, so we'll just have 1 week
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any more topics for today? Perfect. Then
Okay.
enjoy your week.
That's good. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Hey, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.